everyone, this is Loveland Johnson, and today we are going to be looking at the law of timing from the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Let's get started. Before we get started, I have a question. Have you ever made the right decision at the wrong time? Or worse, watched a great idea fail not because it was bad, but because the timing was off? The law of timing is so simple but very profound. It states when to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. When you think about timing, when I was looking at this law, one of the things that really stood out to me was often as leaders, we are really good in taking the right action. But seldom do we think about timing. So, this was such an eye opener for me. Timing is everything. It often is the one that differentiates success from failure. And today we are going to be looking at 4 scenarios that would help us understand the law of timing. The first one, wrong action at the wrong time. This is a no brainer, would lead to disaster. Often, when a leader does that, the people around them pay a heavy price. I could think of Titanic. I could think of so many examples where the leadership makes a poor decision, and on top of it, the timing is also wrong. Because of that, everyone around them pay a very heavy price. When I thought about wrong action at the wrong time, Wells Fargo came to my mind. In 2016, they were fined heavily by the government because of their poor practices. They had a very aggressive sales quota for cross selling their products, and they literally set this team for failure because the team couldn't achieve it wasn't a realistic goal. They started creating fraudulent accounts, and so many wrong things happened because of such aggressive sales goals that the company paid a heavy price. They were fined 3 billion. They lost 5,000 employees. They were fired. And on top of it, the CEO had to quit and the bank's reputation was tarnished. And of course, customers lost their trust with the bank. The reason this happened was the wrong timing, too. In 2008, because of the financial crisis, the banks were under heavy scrutiny. So they were fined extremely heavily for this act because they were under heavy scrutiny. So it was also a wrong timing. But then the wrong action at the wrong time led to such poor reputation for that bank. The next one is not so bad as the first scenario that we looked at. Wrong action, but it's done at the right time. And now it's not as disastrous as the first scenario. It's now a mistake. Often entrepreneurs are very good in seizing the moment. They are very attuned to that. But sometimes the biggest struggle also that they have is they are unable to know when to cut their losses and when to increase and make an impact on their profits. So it's hard for them to tell that. When I was thinking about wrong action at the wrong time, Disney came to my mind because when Disney introduced and launched their streaming service in Europe, they launched it with a very poor streaming quality. Their action was wrong, the quality of the product was wrong, but they launched it at the perfect time. The timing was right because it was during the COVID-19 pandemic and there were lockdowns and everyone was looking for some kind of an entertainment. So the perfect timing. And what did they do? They quickly fixed the mistake and they relaunched it, and then it was a great success. Often, even though your action could be wrong, if your timing is on your favor, it sort of helps you. You don't pay a very heavy price as the previous scenario that we looked at. The next scenario is right action at the wrong time. It brings resistance. And when I think about leaders, often leaders struggle with it because they are bombarded with many wonderful initiatives. They know all the projects that is in the pipeline. They know the value of these projects, and often they are torn between choosing the right project. What happens is everything seems wonderful for to them at that point, and they would push on the change over to the people. The problem is these are right actions, but it's done in the wrong time. Already, the folks in their team are probably stretched too thin. And now, when you add one more thing, it's almost like the last straw that breaks the camel's back. They get a huge pushback because it is the wrong time, and often there is a resistance for it. When I was thinking of a perfect example for this, I thought about Microsoft's tablet PC. Microsoft introduced their tablet PC in early 2000. In fact, my friend even purchased this, and I remember this very well. It could do hand recognition, it had touch capabilities. But the problem is, the technology wasn't quite ready for a great change like that, for a forward thinking design like that. And so the software wasn't working perfectly well. The wireless connectivity was not as great as it is today. And because of that, the product was not a success. But think about what happened 10 years later. When Steve Jobs introduced iPad in 2010, it became a huge success. Why? The timing was perfect because the right action, the design, and everything that Microsoft had for their tablet PC was the right action, but it was the wrong time. The technology wasn't fully developed for them, and because of that, they couldn't really push it to the market, and they got pushback from their customers. The last scenario, this is a sweet spot that we all want to be in. Right action, right time, and that means success. We want to take the right action, and we also want to do it at the right time so we can expand on our success. And whenever that happens, the leader gets rewarded heavily. It was such a wonderful experience for the team. They get great momentum because of that. And often we appreciate the leaders of history because they capitalized on the right time with their right action. When I was thinking about it, again, Apple came to my mind. Apple's iPhone launch in 2007, it could have been a disaster if they would have done it 5 years before. It was just the perfect timing. And because of that, like I said, the technology was ready, everything was sort of working in their favor. People were often frustrated with clunky big phones, and it was the perfect amalgamation, and out came iPhone. And it's probably one of the most successful product launches in history. I came across this quote from the book, and honestly, this quote really touched me, and I had to put it in the slide here. It's about our finest hour. Often we as leaders are preparing ourselves, we are doing so many things, but we wonder, did we even make a difference? But I want you all to understand that we are called for a purpose, and only you can do what you can do. No one else can take on that role. This quote really sums it so well that that moment will come, the moment for which we are all born to capitalize on, that we are uniquely qualified for, and we will shine at that time. But until then, we would continue to prepare and get ourselves ready. So let me read the quote for you. There comes a special moment in everyone's life, a moment for which that person was born. That special opportunity, when he seizes it, will fulfill his mission, a mission for which he is uniquely qualified. In that moment, he finds greatness. It is his finest hour. This is by Winston Churchill, and I couldn't agree more. Often, as leaders, we wonder if we are ever making a difference. But remember, each one of us, are called for a purpose, and we are here, we are uniquely positioned to serve that purpose. And that moment will come, and it would be your finest hour if you have spent time preparing and getting yourself ready for it so that you could seize the moment and you can capitalize on it. Okay, so the factors that improve a leader's timing, and there are 7 things that the book talks about. I think next time when you are positioned in a place where you have to make a decision, maybe you could go through this and think about timing and answer some of the questions. The number one is understanding. What kind of understanding do you have about the situation? How clear are you about what's happening around you for the decision that you are going to make? What's your maturity level? Do you have the right motives when you're making decision? Are you thinking about your promotion for that particular project and not thinking about what the team has on their plate? What is your level of maturity? Are you only thinking of you, or are you thinking about the others in the team when you're making the decision? The next thing is confidence. How much do you know about the thing that you could confidently make the right decisions? Number four is decisiveness. How decisive are you? Are you bold enough to take the actions, or are you not clear enough? Experience. This is tricky because often as leaders sometimes we may be walking that path for the first time. I would encourage wise counsel. Talk to people, get their wisdom, get their input, and then make your decision so that you could consider other people's experience for your decision. The next one is intuition. How do you, because often it's not the tangibles that give us help us make the right decision, it's intangibles. The momentum, is the momentum there? What's the morale of the team? Put emphasis on those things because they play a role. And last but not least, which is probably my favorite, is preparation. Until the time comes, create the conditions for success. You may not know when, but you can create and keep working on the what, and when the time comes you could seize the opportunity. This is probably one of my favorite quotes. I've quoted it to my children, I don't know how many times. Success occurs when opportunity meets preparation. So keep preparing, and when the opportunity comes, you can capitalize on it. So, how to apply the law of timing in your life? So, now consider the when as well as the what. Often, as leaders, we are good in considering the what has to be done, but also keep when in mind. Timing should always be part of your discernment process from now on, now that you know the law of timing. Another thing I would encourage you all to do is review your major actions in the past and ask yourself, did I take the right action? Was it the right timing? And when you evaluate yourself, you will know the type of decisions you have made in the past, and it would help you for your future. Last but not the least, for future plans, go through that list of seven things that John talks about to make the right timing decision. Do I have a good understanding of the situation? Do I have the right level of maturity? What is my confidence? Do I have the right motives? Am I prepared? Do I have the good experience, or should I seek wise counsel? And when you go through that list, it would give you clarity and it would keep the law of timing in your forefront. I hope you found this session helpful. Next week, we'll be looking at the law of explosive growth. I hope to see you there. Thank you.